I'm making a dish today which I sometimes have for lunch or brunch. I love it. It includes lots of my favourites, kale and spring onions and avocado and a bit of halloumi. It's fast, it's easy. I think you're going to love it, and I think your gut and your gut microbiota are going to love it. I've already chopped up a couple of spring onions. I might just throw in one more for luck. I love onions. Onions, garlic, fantastic for your gut microbiota. They love it. Your gut functions well with it. I'm using spring onions today because they cook faster. If you are a little bit nervous about onions in your gut, or you think they might cause a little bit of bloating, well, just use the green tops of spring onions. They're quite safe, and don't use the white part. So those are all right. Then I'm going to chuck in some, here we go, I'm going to chuck in some tomatoes, and I'm making this dish for 2 people. And so I've got, oh gosh, I'm using probably these cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to use about 8 of them all up. So let's chuck in a few more. And what I want all of these vegetables to do is not to cook down to mush. I just want them to just wilt slightly. And I'm also going to chuck in some kale. Now you could use any green leafy vegetable you like. I love kale. But I also love chard, rainbow chard, silver beet. I love the tops of carrots and beetroot. And literally, I mean, they're all good. Green leafy vegetables are amazing, and amazing for your gut health. And I'm going to say it again, your gut microbiota love it. Now, why is that important? Oh, by the way, I'm going to take probably about 2 handfuls of kale in here to wilt down. Your gut microbiota adore all these vegetables because they contain ingredients in them. They contain fibre, natural fibre always in vegetables, but also they contain ingredients called polyphenols. And polyphenols act like anti-inflammatory in the body. And your gut microbiota love that. They love the nutrients of these polyphenols, and they thrive off it. And it means that your gut environment becomes anti-inflammatory, which actually has a flow-on effect through your body to be anti-inflammatory. And this is very much the Mediterranean diet principle. Fantastic in perimenopause and menopause, because there's more inflammation in the body created with this menopause transition. It's quite an inflammatory state, and your gut microbiota, as well as your body, can get really upset. So I'm just going to try and wilt that kale up a little bit. I don't like raw kale. I don't know about you. I'm not a fan of it, so I always just wilt it up a little bit. Whilst that's wilting, I'm just going to get an avocado full of fantastic anti-inflammatory fats. And I'm just going to open it up and peel it. So let's just get that open. There we go. There we go. Sometimes avocados can be a real pest, so I choose the crinkly skinned ones because they usually peel off much more easily. And I tend to ripen them on my windowsill so that they're just right, and then I eat them all. I don't let them go too far because I don't like them too mushy, but they're perfectly fine even if they're very, very soft. I'm going to now just mash them up a little bit with some chickpeas. Chickpeas, legumes, pulses, beans, absolutely fantastic for, I'm just going to drain away the liquid here. There we go. So that's 1 avocado and probably about 4 tablespoons of chickpeas. There we go, add that in. I'm going to also actually add in a little bit of lemon juice, just because I want the avocado to keep its fresh colour, and also I think it helps with the flavour. So I'm going to actually just mash that together a little bit. There we go. Just loosely mash it together. It's going to just form the basis of this dish. Let's just toss this around a bit a moment so it doesn't actually catch on the bottom, but just gets cooked up and wilted. Look at that. Now, we're using the extra virgin olive oil as the starting point in this pan. By the way, it's quite safe to cook with extra virgin olive oil. It can withstand domestic heat temperatures, no problem at all, up to 210 degrees centigrade without getting damaged. It's fantastic. So I started off, the extra virgin olive oil, interesting enough, gets absorbed into the vegetables. And there is research that suggests that that extra virgin olive oil in our guts helps the release of the polyphenols in the gut and helps those polyphenols get used even more by our body and by our gut microbiota. So it's an absolute win-win, and I love it anyway. I'm a bit obsessed with it. It's fantastic. All right, so I'm just roughly mashing that up. There we go. And I put actually a bit of salt and pepper in that. And in fact, I'll put a bit of salt and pepper in this as well. And then a bit of salt. Here we go. I really think seasoning is so important, because when you're seasoning your food, it helps to stimulate your digestion when you're eating it. Now let me just show you one portion worth. So I'll take half of that mashed up avocado and chickpea and pop it here into the base. There we go, one that escaped. And then I'm going to take half of this wilted tomato, softened tomatoes, softened kale. I'll take that and put it over here on top of that. Lovely. Okay. Now, there we go. I'll let that cook on a minute, and I'll just quickly show you the protein source today is chickpeas. The chickpeas have protein in them, but I'm also using some halloumi. I quite just like the texture of halloumi when it gets warmed up, and it just makes a lovely contrast to other protein sources like nuts and seeds and tofu. And I'm just going to warm it in the pan. That's all I'm going to do in this hot pan. Halloumi does not need cooking at all. It's a cheese that's already okay to eat as it is, but I just think when it gets warmed up, it gets slightly soft, and it's absolutely delicious. So I'll show you what it looks like. And you cook it up in a fry pan. Sometimes I put a little bit of extra virgin, I might do that actually now, put a bit of extra virgin olive oil in there to cook it up a bit further. It's not necessary, it depends. If your pan is non-stick, then you actually don't really need the oil. So my pan's quite hot now, so I'm turning it over already. Can you see how it's not caught, but it's coloured nicely on one side, a little kind of golden brown. There we go. Let's turn these all over and just get them golden brown on the other side. And turn that off because that's actually nice and warm. All right, terrific. Yum. I can smell here. Actually, interesting enough, of all the smells and aromas, I can just smell the tomatoes, which have become really fragrant in the warmth. And they've not completely disintegrated, but they've just softened, and they'll be absolutely delicious as well. All right, here we go. Just going to pop the warmed halloumi, which is lovely and soft, now on top here. There we go. You can add some chopped up nuts and seeds to this if you wanted, for extra protein and extra anti-inflammatory oils, whatever you like. But I just like halloumi, and of course halloumi's got great calcium in it, and that's also really important for my bone health. And that's as easy as it gets. I hope you enjoy it.